President Trump said this morning that he thinks we're nearing the end. The U.S. kept their side on the ceasefire. We've stopped firing. The Straits of Hormuz have not been completely reopened.
The Straits of Hormuz. I say, you put that a little vodka, maybe a fresh fruit. You might prefer olives, but there it is. And I got to tell you, there's all kinds of news out of the Strait of Hormuz. There's only one strait, it's the Strait of Hormuz, but the troglodytes, the terrorists, the Democrats are on the side of the terrorists, the Democrat Party. They love terrorists, and they don't like us at all. Not on our side. But the Iranians are now saying that the Strait of Hormuz is wide open to traffic as long as the Lebanon-Israel ceasefire is in effect, which is supposed to be in effect for 10 days right now, and it's Hezbollah in Lebanon that's being funded by Iran. Iran, of course, funded by Barack Obama and the Democrats, not on the side of civilization. But it became a little bit ironic yesterday because U.S. allies, the headline was this morning, U.S. allies, France and Great Britain, moved to reopen critical shipping route without Trump administration involvement. That's exactly what President Trump wanted them to do, and now they're doing it. And the news media is painting it like it's a loss for President Trump, when in fact the opposite is true. And then the president was, riding roughshod over the whole thing. And yesterday, just before we left, we learned that the ceasefire would be in effect for 10 days between Hezbollah, the army of Allah, the party of Allah, Hezbollah, and Israel. And that's kind of a good thing since the troglodytes were raining death down on civilian populations in Israel. And the Democrats are on the side of Hezbollah. Democrats really not on the side of the good guys anymore. They gave up on all that. But we've got the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. We had the Europeans yesterday saying, okay, we'll go in and we'll secure the shipping route in the Strait of Hormuz, which is exactly what President Trump had told them to do weeks ago. And they said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. And now they say they're going to do it. And the media is somehow thinking that Trump is the villain of the story here. Our news media is the most filthy, corrupt institution in America. And because Iran now says that the Strait of Hormuz is open, the stock market, the Dow Jones Industrial, soaring, more than 500 points on, it's just amazing. And gas, the price of a barrel of oil is plummeting because stability is good and instability is bad. Radical Islam represents instability. The Democrat Party represents instability. And President Trump, as wild as he is, represents sanity in all of this. And it's kind of amazing. The president, he roughs up the Europeans. He mocks them. He ridicules them. He calls them out. And now what's happening? Now the Europeans are, we will go and we will open the straits and without the U.S. And this is exactly what President Trump has been saying all along. President Trump gets exactly what he had been demanding from the Euros, most of whom are cross-dressers. I don't know if you knew that. And he's not the hero of the story in the American news media because the stock market soaring this morning, the price of a barrel of oil plummeting this morning. These are both good things for Democrats that are trying to follow along at home but don't understand these complex concepts and words. Remarkable stuff. Good things are happening. We want the radical Islamic terrorist regime aspiring to an arsenal of nuclear weapons, top ICBMs. We want them to be gone because they're a threat to the world and to civilization and to our ally Israel. Oh, but wait, you see the Democrats yesterday in the Senate. They all voted against. I was mocking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday because she's come out as full-blown anti-Israel. No funding for Israel, no weapons for Israel. No, we're not helping our ally. We're helping the terrorist army in Iran, the Islamic Revolution. That's where the Democrat Party is in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She really should be tending bar someplace where nobody goes. That's where she should be. But she's a Democrat member of Congress because of her pants. And that's about it. Certainly not because of her brain. Remarkable stuff. But then we learned that last night the Democrats all voted to not, 47 of them voted to not fund Israel because they're anti-Semites. They really should be wearing armbands. They're the party of armbands, and they should be goose-stepping around on Capitol Hill. They kind of are, really. Remarkable stuff. So President Trump, again, win-win. Also, the dust-up with the Pope continues. The back and forth continues. And I've got to say, President Trump, and I didn't think it was necessary for him to get into this back and forth with the Pope, for President Trump to do that. But I've got to say, even Michael Piercy and I were discussing it before we came into the studio, and he's having this back and forth, and it is made, and his points are, maybe the Pope should be concerned about the tens of thousands of Iranian citizens that were murdered by the murderous terrorist regime there. President's making that point, right? And maybe he should be worried about Christians in Africa, the president's saying. So this dust-up going back and forth where the news media is suddenly all in with the Pope, only because he's not Donald Trump, and that's the only reason. But it's amazing because now 3 billion people around the world are discussing exactly what President Trump wants to be discussing, and the Pope has got to be looking around and saying, Pope Leo XIV has got to be, His Holiness the Pope, has got to be looking around and saying, I'm sorry, what just happened here? Because now the conversation, and it's true, the conversation should be, and the Pope, again, if I said yesterday, if I were the President of the United States, I'd get on the phone with His Holiness the Pope, and I would discuss these things with him. But President Trump, he knows how to just kind of blow things up. And then in the end, it almost always turns out working for him the way that he wanted. He knows how to work a crowd. That's for sure. But the president and the Pope going back and forth, and it's become interesting because what's happening now? The Europeans are volunteering to come in and keep the Strait of Hormuz open, and then Iran says, okay, we're opening the Strait of Hormuz, and the stock market is soaring, and the price of a barrel of oil is plummeting, and these are all things that are good for the United States, so the Democrats are against them. That's the thing about the Democrats. If it's good for the United States of America, the Democrats are against it. And that's how you know they're the Democrats, and they're not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. And President Trump, what did President Trump say? He said something like Pope Leo supports nuclear weapons in the hands of the Islamic Revolution. And the Pope didn't actually say that. But I know what President Trump is doing, and I know what he's saying, because the Pope sounded a little too like, oh, let's not be too harsh with Iran. And the president saying, well, wait a minute, the Pope is kind of, deflecting stuff for Iran against me, representing Western civilization and the U.S. and NATO and freedom and liberty and not genocidal anti-Semitism as Iran represents and honestly as the Democrat Party represents at this point. But President Trump put it out there, and it's caused quite a stir. The president naturally talking to the press at length yesterday on the South Lawn of the White House before he flew away and went to Las Vegas for a big event there, which was a lot of fun, too, with people that the news media calls workers because they've adopted the Soviet lexicon. But the employees who rely on tips in Las Vegas showed up for President Trump's event. It's a no tax on tips event that the president hosted in Las Vegas yesterday. Kind of a big deal, and nice stories from the nice people working jobs in Las Vegas, saying how great it is to not be paying income taxes on their tips. That's a complicated, always has been a complicated thing to pull. It's basically voluntary. How much did you make on tips? Most places, some places keep tabs on your tips, but not most. And I got to say, this just goes on and on. Amazing. Also, a big story today, and you've probably been tracking it here and there. I've talked about it only briefly, but the 10 now. There were 9 missing scientists. Now there are 10, and they all had something to do with working in aerospace and in nuclear things and in space travel and in space aliens and all this good stuff. And 10 dead or vanished. in a period of not so long, a year and a half or something, and maybe a little longer than that. But 10 of them, kind of a big deal. And the president now weighing in on that. There is an investigation that is being launched to find out what's going on with all of that, because it's rather unusual for so many people. And apparently a lot of them have disappeared without their cell phones. And, it's just leaving no clues. It's a fascinating story. It really is a fascinating story for a whole bunch of reasons. And Democrats, all of them are sex abusers, usually child sex abusers, but not exclusively. And Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna just filed an ethics complaint in the United States Senate against Ruben Gallego, the Arizona Democrat, because they just all go around abusing women. And where's the Joe Biden and Tara Reid? Remember Joe Biden sexually assaulting Tara Reid, who is an actual staffer of his and somebody that we know that he had met and been with every day, not like the stuff that the Democrats make up, because they make up a lot of stuff. Boy, do they make up a lot of stuff. Seriously, mentally ill. Mentally ill people. SMIDs. Yes, sir. And the astronauts. I got to tell you, the astronauts held a couple of events yesterday. And I've got some audio from them. There was a remarkable moment when one of the astronauts, I believe the mission commander, he talked about flying around the moon and being in space and looking back at Earth and feeling small and human. And it sounds like he discovered God and Jesus while he was in space. And there was an interesting back and forth there. I got to say, I was watching it live yesterday. And when I saw this happen, I didn't burst into tears like a Democrat on Scream at the Sky Day, but I got to say I was watching this, and I would swear if you were looking very closely with a magnifying glass, you might have seen a tear well up in my eye. You might have seen a tear in my eye because it was really something to see. It was remarkable things going on. Yeah, and all the scientists disappearing. And where's the press conference on that? Where's the big investigation? This 4-star general disappears. Where's this NASA scientist disappears? And an interesting set of circumstances. I mean, if only they were Nancy Guthrie, if only they had a relative that was a morning TV host, then maybe the country would be engaged by this. But remarkable things going on there. That's for sure. Oh yeah. Speaking of the Europeans. This is the left. The left is, keeping in mind, the Nazi Party is the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, and that's Adolf Hitler. Here is, listen to this, Spain, run by lefties, not allowing us to fly through their airspace to go after the terrorists who are aspiring to nuclear weapons and so on, not allowing us to use their bases even though they're a NATO country. Spain permanently withdraws ambassador to Israel as rift deepens. The rift is deepening with Spain, between Israel and Spain, because they're giving up to the Islamists again. They're going to be 400 years of occupation once again by the sword-wielding Muslims, and they're going to convert to Islam in Spain this time. Isn't that amazing? And this is what I was making reference to a couple of minutes ago. But Senate, the United States Senate, vote on arms sale to Israel shows massive cracks in U.S. support for Israel. I'm sorry, massive cracks in U.S. support for Israel because 40 out of 47 Democrat senators voted to block all arms sales to Israel. That's because Israel's on our side and the Democrats aren't. The Democrats are on the side of the jihad. They're the left. They're a bloodthirsty gang of ghouls. And they're not on our side. Man, are they not on our side. And what's this Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom, his own people spending $1.5 million to buy copies of his book. How do you think you get it on the New York Times bestseller list? You take political money donated to you and you buy truckloads of books, and then you go around telling people that you're on the New York Times bestseller list. Everything is a lie. Remarkable stuff. Update on the Democrat that assassinated Charlie Kirk with a rifle. He's due in court today. And the Democrats in a special election in New Jersey elected a communist. She's also an anti-Semite. The Democrat Party is going to be goose-stepping around in armbands probably by the close of business today. They really ought to be. We are at 888-630-9625.
Support for Israel, essentially doesn't really exist, especially within the Democratic base.
President Trump has his own social media platform, Truth Social, because the fascists barred him from Twitter because they're anti-free speech and anti-free practice of your religion, and they're anti-Second Amendment. They're really anti-Bill of Rights. They're anti-American. President Trump on his own social media platform just posted moments ago, Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran, he says, is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you, the president said. So that's kind of a major development. And CNN, the fakes and fraudsters at CNN, are now reporting that crude oil has plummeted in price by 10.45%. The price of West Texas crude dropping very significantly just in a matter of minutes after the announcement was made. And that kind of matters. That's a big deal. That will convert quickly to gas prices at the pump, keeping in mind that gas prices at the pump today, which are a bit high, are not as high as the gas prices were when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in charge, because they're anti-energy and anti-strong economy and anti-American prosperity, and they're pro-Iran and anti-Israel. They're not on our side. They're not on Team America. Israel is on Team America, Team Civilization. The Democrat Party is not. The Democrat Party is the most important ally in the world that Iran has at this moment in time. And the Democrats know that. And they say, oh, yeah, let's stand up for Iran. And they're on the side of Hamas and not Israel, the terrorist, murderers, raiders, rapists, kidnappers, hostage takers. And the Democrats are like, yeah, I'm with them. I'm with them. So Iran just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for full passage. Kind of a big deal. The price of crude oil plummeting, the stock market surging. The Democrats will find some way to be angry about it. Now, the Democrat Party is like an organized crime front group. The Democrats are the front group. The Democrat leadership are their criminals, and they're here to steal and rob and loot and plunder and destroy the United States of America. They're on the side of Iran. They're on the side of Hezbollah. They're on the side of Hamas. They're not on the side of Israel. The Democrats voted yesterday to not provide any weaponry to Israel, knowing that they're under attack by the world's number one state sponsor of terror, of radical Islamic terror, the Islamic Revolution in Tehran. And the Democrats are their ally. The Islamists know that their most important ally on earth today is the American Democrat Party. And one of those Democrats is the age-old Democrat. I think he's 82 years old now. I think we looked it up the other day. James Carville. James Carville, the Clinton administration official, and he's he's the one that came up with the bimbo eruptions. He's the bimbo eruptions, and you never know what you turn up when you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park while he was trashing the women that Bill Clinton had sexually assaulted, as Democrats have a long and storied history of doing. Senior Democrat leadership all over the place. Back from their days of slavery and the bullwhip and the plantation, that was the Democrats too. And then fast forward to Bill Clinton, then fast forward to Eric Swalwell, and the list goes on. But James Carville, we played this audio for you a couple of days ago. He's severely mentally ill, and he's violently criminally insane, and he's a perfectly normal, mainstream Democrat Party leader on a national level. And the other day, he said he can't wait for he wants President Trump to die slowly and in agony so he can watch and enjoy it.
I want to be clear on this. I do not want that man to die. I want to watch him suffer. And I can't watch a dead person suffer.
Can't watch a dead person suffer, so he wants him to live long enough to suffer so that James Carville can revel in the slow death of one of his fellow human beings. James Carville says that President Trump will be killed within a year of when he made this statement a few days ago.
I'm saying this right now. You're not going to be president a year from now. You're too soft a man. You're too weak. You're going to get killed.
You're going to get killed. You're going to get killed. And now, the great Jonathan Turley, law professor, George Washington University, Jonathan Turley on Twitter posting more James Carville news. And Jonathan Turley says Democrats are discussing plans after retaking power to change the system so they can never lose it again. Carville, curiously on a national podcast, told Democrats to keep the plans quiet, keep their plans quiet. Don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it, says James Carville. And he's cursing and dropping the F word because they have the brains of children, demented, violent, psychopathic children. And James Carville is one of those. And he's cursing up a storm. But here's what here's what he wants. He wants to turn Washington, D.C. into a state to get two mentally impaired senators that will be there permanently because the voters here are unwell. And Puerto Rico has to get statehood, so they get two permanent Democrat senators. That's stealing 4 Senate seats. This is civil war that this fascist is advocating here. He should dress up in his Confederate uniform and go out and round up the slaves. He should be on a slave patrol, this guy. So here he is. We got to do that, and we got to pack the Supreme Court to 13 justices to steal power because for a Democrat, once you've secured power, the purpose of having power is to abuse it, to enrich yourself and your family, to steal, to corrupt everything you touch. James Carville is the leading. They should really run him for president.
If the Democrats win the presidency in both houses of Congress, I think on day one, they should make Puerto Rico, D.C. a state, and they should expand the Supreme Court to 13. Eat our dust. They've done everything they could. They held up the 2000 election. They stole it.
The 22
Supreme Court seats. They've gerrymandered everything that you can. And the only way to fight this is don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it.
Everything.
Just, okay, we got 54 senators and we got 13 court members. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's it. And we'll steal everything. We'll pack the Supreme Court. We'll steal Senate seats by making Washington, D.C. a state. And then they'll all be Democrats because it's full of gun-toting criminals that go around shooting babies. They're Democrats, and make Puerto Rico a state because you'll have two permanent left-wing, they'd like to think ideally non-English-speaking senators because they don't want the United States to be an English-speaking country. The Democrat Party. So there's James Carville, and he is demanding that, and he says, don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it, says James Carville. And Jonathan Turley has the story. He wrote it up on his website at jonathanturley.org. And the first word is the F word in the headline. Beep it. Beep it. Just do it. And we just played it with the beep in there for you. Carville lays out Democratic plan to add states and pack the court to reclaim power. I got to tell you, these guys are the reason that there's an ammunition shortage in the United States. These guys are at war with us. This is not politics. This is war by the party of the Confederate States of America and the Klan. And boy, are they not on our side. Man, oh, Manischewitz, are they not on our side?
Don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it.
Don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. So lie to everybody like the house of ill repute that you are. Lie, just like Abigail Spanberger lied about everything in the Commonwealth of Virginia. oh, she's going to be a moderate, and then she comes in and she's grabbing guns and raising taxes and killing children. And the Democrats, they're really a demented, violent bunch of criminals who are here to steal everything and to abuse. For how long have I been talking about them abusing power? You give a lefty a thimble full of power, they'll abuse it before the sun goes down. And here they are plotting out in the open. He sounds like a lunatic drunk in a bus stop, but he's not. He's sober, and this is the Democrat Party today. Wow. Various Democrats have been openly discussing their plans after retaking power to change the system so they never lose power again, Jonathan Turley writes. Democratic strategist James Carville has been one of the most vocal and returned to the subject this week in laying out how they would make D.C. and Puerto Rico states and pack the Supreme Court with a liberal majority, of course, and so they could destroy everything in the United States. On a podcast with Al Hunt, James Carville, Al Hunt is married to Judy Driftwood. Judy Driftwood is his loving bride. On his podcast with Al Hunt, Carville explained, it's a very small circle fest in a hot tub. If the Democrats win the presidency and both houses of Congress, I think day one they should make Puerto Rico and D.C. a state. That'd be 2 states, but never mind that. Maybe he is drunk. And they should expand the Supreme Court to 13. Beep it. Eat our dust. And he's cursing again. Got to use the F word here and the F word there because just crazy. Notably this week, New Jersey just elected a radical new member. And I love this. Her name is, it's difficult to pronounce because it's Analilia. Analilia is her first name. Analilia Mejia. And she is an anti-American radical leftist. But I just love her first name is A-N-A-L, like anal, and then I-L-I-A. So it's kind of like anally. I think probably high school must have been tough for her. Mejia, who ran on packing the court. She just won a special election yesterday in New Jersey. And because the Democrat that had the seat became the governor, and so they had to have a special election, and it was yesterday. And this radical left-wing extremist, a frothy, racist, anti-American, she won the seat in the House of Representatives. And Analilia Mejia, she ran on packing the court and other radical agenda items, while some of us have written, Jonathan Turley says, about the expansion of the court. These politicians and pundits are pushing for the packing, not just gradual expanding of the court. And honestly, what they want is all-out civil war in the streets of America. They're criminally insane, and the greed is third world. They're not an American political party anymore. However, James Carville, curiously on a national podcast, seriously suggested that Democrats should keep the plan quiet. Quote, don't run on it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. End quote. Sure. You betcha. Call it the Nike School of Constitutional Law. The need of the left to pack the Supreme Court is obvious. Many of the proposals coming from the left are clearly unconstitutional. They really don't care about that. You'll need a partisan majority to make the political changes that these figures hope will give the Democrats a lock on power for years to come. Years ago, Harvard professor Michael Klarman laid out a radical agenda to change the system to guarantee Republicans, quote, will never win another election, end quote. They're looking to rig the system, corrupt the system, sabotage the system, to benefit themselves, to line their own pockets with money, to get their beach houses and their golden Mercedes-Benz station wagons. And he warned, however, the Supreme Court could strike down everything I just described. That's the Harvard professor, because it's all illegal and you're a criminal. See, Harvard professor / criminal. Therefore, the court must be packed in advance to allow these changes to occur. Likewise, see, that's how you got to corrupt it, because the Supreme Court will strike it down. So if they corrupt the Supreme Court and start the second Democrat civil war in America. Likewise, James Carville previously explained how this process to pack the court, how it would work. He said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, James Carville says. A Democrat is going to be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. The Democratic president is going to announce a special transition, a gender transition for the whole country, a transition advisory committee on the reform of the Supreme Court. They're going to recommend that the number of Supreme Court justices go from 9 to 13. That's going to happen, people. This is what he says. These guys are just, they should really be swinging from trees in a jungle somewhere. They're un-American, they're un-Western, they've rejected the Enlightenment, they're primitives, they're violent criminals, they shoot their political enemies, and they're not the good guys. The push for court packing and war chests on the left remains unchanged, despite conservatives on the court ruling against the administration on major cases. Carville and others cannot claim that the conservative justices are robotically voting with the administration. That's a fact, certainly cannot. But it does not matter. That's right, the truth and the facts don't matter to the left. They want a court that will consistently uphold the changes being planned by Democratic strategists. They really ungala bungala. This is the government of Ouagadougou that has taken over the Democrat Party, and they're commie pigs. They're third world rogue government. This is a mentality summed up by the NEA, National Education Association President Becky Pringle, and Jonathan Turley provides video of her. Just I got to tell you, we're gonna win all things. We have to win all things, all the things. This is the president of the National Education Association, the teachers union. There it is, the teachers union. And these people are radicals. They're fascists. They call everybody fascist because they know deep down that they are the fascists.
NEA delegates, we can do this work. We must do this work.
She sounds upset.
We get to do this work. We will do this work because our students are depending on us to win all the things. NEA, we have to win all the things. All the things. All the things. Our colleagues are depending on us.
And then she detonated her suicide vest. These people are mentally ill. They're criminally insane. They're looking to steal everything there is to steal on Earth, starting with power, because they're really unwell. All right, let's. We don't have a ton of time, but let's go to the phones. Let's go to Sid, calling from Los Angeles, California. Sid, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Sid.
I was thinking about what Carville said. It's too easy to have a state admitted to the union. My suggestion is that we pass a constitutional amendment to admit a state or a territory to the union would take a 2/3 vote of the Congress and 3/4 of the state before a state could be admitted to the union, not just by a simple vote of the Congress.
Yeah, that's right. And you think that the Democrats won't be able to do that?
No, I think.
Right. I think you're probably right.
That's what the Republicans should do right now.
But will they take us to civil war while they're fighting for it?
They may do it, but I think we should, on the other side, try to prevent them from doing it by having it make it more difficult to have a state admitted to the union.
You know, we live in a crazy time, Sid, when conservatives, Republicans, pro-American voters and taxpayers are having to fight the Democratic Party, the party of the bullwhip, over these very fundamental things. Like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment and the free practice of religion and free speech and the Second Amendment. And the Democrat Party is against all of it. And at the same time, they're against our allies. They're against our ally Israel. If Spain is undermining the United States of America, the Democrats are with Spain. And they're with Iran, Sid. They're with Iran. What's up with that?
No, I agree with you. I think this is the time we have control. We can get this passed and make it much more difficult to admit the D.C. and Puerto Rico to the Union. Right now, it would be a simple task.
Maybe we should start a constitutional amendment to freeze the number of states at 50.
Well, I'm not completely in favor of that, but I think it should be more difficult to be added to the union. That's my feeling.
Yeah, well, you're certainly right about that. Now, why would they want to start adding states? You know, these are the people that broke away from the United States of America and created the Confederate States of America. And they're back. They're still here. These are the bad guys. The Democrat Party, and I wouldn't have said this even a few years ago, but these people are completely criminally out of control. Violently, criminally insane Democrats rule the roost at the Democrat Party, and they are here to destroy the world. And they love the Islamic Revolution in Iran. They love Hamas and Hezbollah. They hate Israel and the United States of America. What do you even say about a political party like that? They should probably be banned. I mean, how many? They shot Donald Trump. They shot and killed Charlie Kirk. They shot and wounded Steve Scalise, the congressman. They honestly, they're attacking the police and law and order. They're open borders people. They're in favor of Tren de Aragua and MS-13, and they're against the police and ICE. The Democratic Party in the United States of America.
The number of Supreme Court justices go from 9 to 13. That's going to happen, people. That's going to happen to you.
All right, the Strait of Hormuz is open and the oil will be flowing again. The price of a barrel of oil has plunged 10 or 11% so far this morning. That will lead in short order, not today, but in short order, to lower gas prices at the pump. And the Dow is way up today. The S&P is way up today. The NASDAQ is way up today as oil prices are down. President Trump is getting everything he wants. The Europeans are stepping up. They stepped up even before we announced that the Strait of Hormuz is open, and the Iranians said the Strait of Hormuz is open. And the Europeans said that they'd send warships to try to do something about the Strait of Hormuz, just as Trump told them to do.